Hey guys, welcome back to OCD Space and Present Moment Reality, Episode 2. Hope you're all doing well. This is Mike Parker, and this is your place for all things OCD, and when it comes to present moment reality, other stuff as well. So hope you're all doing well. The channel is going well. We're here into March now, 2026. And as far as news from me, not much. I am continuing my commitment to a channel that's about I-CBT. And, looking at some other stuff probably this year as well, as far as like what other, approaches to OCD we need to take into consideration. And then what other kinds of issues, that we see with people with OCD. So you can expect my videos just to keep coming. I try to roll them out like every 2 weeks, something on OCD, something on I-CBT. I do have some swag available. I don't think I've ever formally told this to people, but if anybody is interested in coffee mugs with OCD space on it, and on the back, I got a little bird there saying, "Hey, you, trust yourself today." Just a little reminder while you're having your favorite morning beverage. There's other stuff on there, tote bags, coffee coasters for your coffee that say OCD space. So, when you start a side gig like this with your YouTube channel, why not come up with some merchandise? You can, fill your own office with your own merchandise, and maybe someone else will be interested as well. So if you'd like that, please take a look. It's always listed underneath my YouTube videos. I also have memberships now. So if you're interested in supporting the channel, there's a little join button under my YouTube videos, and you can join. And for a low cost, I think it's like $2.99 a month, you can support me and help me do things like, get a new camera, things like that, that would help the quality of the channel. Also just, help me keep doing this. I obviously don't get any money for it. So, any little income I can get from, from making these videos will help me keep doing them. Other than that, hope you guys are okay out there. It is madness in the world, right? So many things just feel like you just don't know what to count on these days. And that's a tough situation for a human being with a human mind to deal with. We all like some level of uncertainty. That's what keeps life exciting and interesting. We like to not get spoilers for our movies and TV shows coming up and be surprised, right? That's just part of life. But there gets a point where you need something to hold on to, right? And it feels like the world right now, too many things feel uncertain. Too many things feel like we don't have any information to go on here. So, if you think about, obviously politically, things are chaotic. In the US in particular, things are chaotic. But, a lot of other places too around the world. There's a lot of chaos, conflict, and confusion. But it's not just about that. When you look at the world and you look at things like technology and you look at careers, everything feels like it's in flux. Everything is changing rapidly. When I went to college, I graduated high school in 1994. I saw a shirt the other day. It said, "I'm from the 1900s. Give me patience," or something like that. And I was like, is that true? I'm from the 1900s? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, when I was going into college, it just felt like people could give you advice. They had some sense of what jobs would be there waiting for you in 4 years when you graduated. And to me, at least my perception of things right now is that technology is changing things so rapidly, but also in this sort of unpredictable way, right? Where new technology appears and you think it could change things this way, and then it actually changes things in very unexpected ways. So it's very unpredictable as well. So, it's become hard to say, oh, this is a very clear career path for you, right? And I think people are struggling because of all of this uncertainty, just feeling like you don't know what you can count on. So many things feel like they're in question, right? What is the future of democracy? We don't know right now. Things are changing. People are challenging so many different things that we thought were just permanent about government and the way countries run. What is what's the world order? Who is allies and who is enemies? That feels like it's up in the air. We don't know. And then, when it comes to technology with AI, where are things going? So it's really hard. So if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling even a feeling of dread or a feeling of doom, you're not alone. There's so much explanation for why you have that feeling right now in your chest. The world is crazy. I don't know how we're doing it, guys. I don't know how we are doing it. But here's the thing. We are doing it. We can handle this. And a lot of it comes down to a lot of the amazing principles that I focus on with my work when I'm doing I-CBT. Present moment reality, connecting to family, connecting to friends, connecting to home life, connecting to work, whatever it is you have the ability to focus on and make that your central reality. It's really important to find the parts of your life that you can focus on and really count on. And there's times for thinking about the bigger questions and being informed about things in the big picture. But having a solid foundation of your present moment reality and your life is the answer. It's critical because there is always going to be so much going on outside of your immediate life that's scary and you have no control over. And you got to figure out, what do I have control over? What can I focus on? It's really essential to mental health. So again, guys, 2026 is crazy, but we are doing it. So I wanted to share with you guys some things I've been into lately. Number one, I've been thinking about this old album from way back. Something that's really important to me and has become increasingly important lately is just remembering how important it is to interact with people different than you, and how much growth and fulfillment you can get from meeting people from different worlds, from different places in life. And there's this one group that is one of my earliest memories of really having an experience with music that felt like it was kind of taking me to a different place. And that was with the band Living Colour. Now, Living Colour is a band from the 80s and the 90s, and they are hugely influential and hugely important because they were an all-black rock band, an all-black hard rock / heavy metal band. And at the time, that was not normal at all. All the bands out there, all the rock bands at the time in the 80s and the 90s were, white guys, white gals, and Living Colour comes along and they're like, we are an all black rock band, no apologies. We are not following some script. We are going to do things our own way. And I love that stuff. I love when I see people break the stereotype. I love Tiger Woods, Eminem, just seeing people break those stereotypes. And Living Color was a perfect example of that. And they were their own thing. They created their own brand of music. Now, when they came on the scene, their song, The Cult of Personality, was the big hit. That was the thing that broke them out into the mainstream. It was all over MTV. It was huge. At this point in time, it's, in my mind, a little played out because I heard it a lot back in the day. It was like every other video on MTV, The Cult of Personality. But it is a great song. It has one of the best rock riffs ever written. Just an awesome, simple riff that really bangs. I love that song. But for me, I liked them at that point because The Cult of Personality was a really cool song, and I was really into that kind of music. But the thing that happened with Living Color, not In Living Color, that was the show. The thing that happened with Living Color was their second album, for me, that was the album I really got into. And I actually took this for a listen lately and listened to their second album. It's called Living Color, Time's Up. And I listened to Time's Up lately. And I was like, I know every single word of this song. Every single word of this entire album. This is awesome. Like, I must have listened to this thing on tape on the bus in middle school over and over and over again because it's just so familiar. It's one of those things where you haven't heard it in like 10 or 20 years. And then you hear it and you're like, wow, I know every word. It was really cool. And I started thinking about how good this album is. And that's one of my favorite things is at some point I'll make some kind of top 5 or top 10 list of bands that had actually like really amazing sophomore albums that are underappreciated. Because a lot of times it's like that first album that gets all the radio play, gets all the attention, and the sophomore album doesn't get as much. And then the real fans kind of hang around for the sophomore album. And that was me. I listened to Time's Up, and guys, this album is so good. It is so ahead of its time that I recommend, if you are into rock, hard rock, metal, give Time's Up a listen. Especially if you're a Living Color fan. And if you are already a fan of Time's Up, please comment. Please comment on this video. I'd love to hear what your take is on that album. But I wanted to play a couple takes from this album to demonstrate its awesomeness. Now, the thing about Time's Up is it is so diverse with its sound. That was the most amazing thing about this album. The musicianship and the playing different styles of music on every single track. And then the way it's produced with a lot of interesting kind of intermissions and sounds and people talking and things like that. It's just, to me, it's a masterpiece. It's such a great album. Now, the thing about Living Colors, I was a kid growing up in the country. I grew up in like northeastern PA, and to encounter Living Color, they were obviously cool because they played really good music. But I did really get into their lyrics because, in their first album a little bit, but in their second album a lot, there was a lot of kind of political commentary, and there was a lot of lyrics that had a little bit of like an Afrocentric vibe. And so I learned a lot about the Black experience listening to Living Color as someone who was growing up in an area without a lot of Black kids. And, so that was one of the things that really attracted me to that band and this album, was just this exposure to a different perspective. But also, like, the cool thing about that is I feel like there's this feedback loop when you're interacting with people who are different from you, because it's like you learn all about something different, but then you learn like about the similarities and the connection as well. And, that's the cool thing about Living Color. They were playing hard rock. They were playing songs that were somewhat like punk. And then they were also talking about being Black, right? And so, very cool experience. But, let's look at Time's Up. It starts out really heavy. So, that could turn people away. So you got to think your way. You got to push through this a little bit. But the opening track's awesome. It's a little heavy, but it's cool. It's called Time's Up. Let's take a look. So, opening track, Time's Up. Time's up. The sky is falling. Timely for us. But I love how it starts off absolutely insane, kind of a punk groove going on, and then has a kind of breakdown and just goes into this groove. Such a cool song to open things up. But then, what we're going to see is these guys go in all different directions on this album. So love rears its ugly head.
Was cool. You played the role of having sense. I always played the fool. Now something's different. I don't know the reason why. Whenever we separate, I almost wanna cry. Oh no, please not that again.
Okay, love rears its ugly head. So that gives you an impression of the singer, Corey Glover, his range, his voice. It was just unbelievable. That was probably like one of the most attractive things about the band to me, was just how amazing his voice is. But Vernon Reid, the guitarist, also, just for his riffs and musicianship. So, very cool band. I'm going to play one more track. And this is like, I think this might even be the last song on the album. But one of the most beautiful songs, just in general for me, Solace of You. I'd also recommend check out the song near the end called This Is Your Life, I think is what it's called. Another, just the lyrics of that song are amazing. But let's look at Solace of You.
Where no one will care, I've got the solace of you. Frustrated by the people's lying, but I keep on trying. I've got the solace of you. When I can't think straight and there's no escape, I've got the solace of you. Gotta go inside, back where it started, back to the beginning, 'cause that's where my heart beginning, 'cause that's where my heart is.
All right. Solace of You. Just, oh man, what an awesome song. I love it. I love the positive vibe, the lyrics. This is what we all need. The connection to the beautiful people out there and people who are different from us, and connecting with people, and hearing, seeing the beauty out there in the world. It's really important. So music is so important to me for that reason. If you guys are interested, check out Living Color Times Up. It's a masterpiece. It is still timely. The lyrics are still relevant. Highly recommend it. Now, one other thing I want to get to before I talk a little bit about I-CBT today is one other artist I've been really into lately, really vibing with, Jack Johnson. And the reason why I'm really vibing with Jack Johnson is because you listen to a Jack Johnson song and he runs at a different speed than the rest of the world. He takes you to wherever he's hanging out in Hawaii with his family, writing song for his kids, and you get transported there. And that's another thing we need in this crazy world, is to all slow down. And so the song I'm going to share with you guys today is all about that. It is from the album Brushfire Fairytales, and the song is called Inaudible Melodies. So as you listen to the song, obviously the lyrics are awesome. Jack Johnson's awesome. The thing I really like about the production of the song is it's literally like Jack Johnson on a guitar, a bass somewhere in there, and someone on a drum who's got like 2 drums and a cymbal. It's the most simple, pared down production. And yet, with just those instruments, they get you in this groove. And so check out this song, guys. And if you're into this song, check out this whole album. It just slaps. I love Inaudible Melodies by Jack Johnson.
Brushfire fairy tales, itsy bitsy diamond wells, big fat hurricanes, yellow belly giving names. Well, shortcuts can slow you down, and in the end we're bound to rebound off of waves. Well, dust off your thinking caps, solar powered plastic plants, pretty pictures of things we ate. We're only what we hate, but in the long run we have found silent films are full of sound, inaudibly free. Slow down everyone, you're moving too fast. Frames can't get you when you're moving like that. Inaudible melodies of narrational strategies, unobtrusive tones help to notice nothing but the zone of visual relevancy. Frame lines tell me what to see, chopping like an axle. Maybe Eisenstein should just relax. Slow down everyone, you're moving too fast. Frames can't catch you when you're moving like that.
All right, guys. Brushfire Fairytales by Jack Johnson. Another album to check out. If you need a chill vibe in your life right now, check out that album. It is awesome. All right. So, hope you don't mind me talking about a little bit of music lately. I've been into it. I want to share it. If you are into those albums, if you're into those artists, please let me know in the comments. All right. So, let's talk a little bit about I-CBT. What's going on with I-CBT lately? Number one, I wanted to talk about the challenges facing I-CBT as we start off 2026. I've been doing I-CBT for years at this point. And so I've seen a lot of different phases of it. I saw when it was just really brand new and nobody had heard of it. And now we're at a phase now where a lot of people have heard of it. Still, a lot of people haven't, but a lot of people have. And I think it's very clear to see what are the challenges with this treatment going into 2026. A couple of things I'm seeing is, number one, the skepticism to the treatment. That's going to be the big challenge in my mind facing I-CBT moving forward. That skepticism from the I-CBT community, number one, we have to acknowledge is a good thing, right? People who treat OCD and people who are living with OCD should be skeptical. Definitely should be skeptical of new treatments, because a lot of treatments out there try to advertise themselves as effective for OCD. And the research does not support that with a lot of these treatments. Maybe someone here or there had some benefit from that with their OCD because of their unique personal individual situation. But to now say, give this to everybody, that's a big stretch. That's a big leap. We want treatments to show efficacy along larger swaths of the population. And, so that's healthy to be skeptical. Now, I-CBT, though, we want to really be clear, is research backed. It's newer in the US, but it's got a lot of research supporting it. And what we're finding amongst a large group of clinicians using I-CBT is just in the little laboratories of everybody's practice, high efficacy, just people reporting how helpful this treatment is for their clients, just constant feedback from people with OCD. This is amazing. I needed this. Other approaches were great, but maybe didn't give me the benefit or didn't take me where I needed to go. And this treatment has been hugely helpful for me. So there's just a lot of support for this. Is not just some random thing being thrown at OCD. This was specifically designed to treat OCD, first of all. And the research and people's experience with it is showing high levels of efficacy. So, yes, we should continue to research I-CBT. I-CBT has a lot of components, right? It explains OCD in a certain way, and then it treats OCD in a certain way. And it includes a lot of different components to the OCD experience and a lot of different treatment strategies kind of packaged into it. So I'm sure that's all going to change due to research as laboratories and clinicians try out all the different aspects of I-CBT and then people add to it. We're going to see that treatment change in a positive way because of researchers. Now, as far as the skepticism goes, though, there's going to be some very unhelpful aspects of the skepticism. Number one is going to be skepticism from people who are actually very committed to believing that the only way you can treat OCD is behaviorally. And so there's a big, and this is a long-standing battle, guys, the behaviorists versus the cognitive people in the field of psychology. We can basically come to the conclusion that obviously, like, both things are important, right? Your behavior and the way you're thinking about things. But sometimes these groups can take extreme positions. And so the behaviorists will say, it is all behavior, right? You sitting in a therapist's office and just trying to figure out your thinking, that's useless. The only thing that matters is you got to get out there, do what you're avoiding. And it's not until you stop avoiding And it's not until you stop your compulsions that you will learn something. You have to change your behavior first, and then you will learn something. And so they will poo-poo cognitive treatments, and I-CBT is a primarily cognitive treatment. And what I mean by that is I-CBT is aimed at helping you change your thought process. So you go into therapy and you look at how you are thinking about things before you choose to avoid, before you choose to do a compulsion, before you're in a triggering situation. There is all this thinking in your head that is going to guarantee distress when you encounter a trigger. And so a cognitive approach says, let's change your thinking first. Let's look at if you are drawing some unhealthy conclusions because of faulty reasoning. And let's, in a therapy office, without needing to do an exposure, without needing to change any behavior, let's look at your thought process. Let's have you examine it, gain insight into it, and probably notice that you don't even actually agree with the thought process you're using. You've just fallen into this habit of doing this. And this is really important with OCD in particular. And this is why I-CBT is so helpful to so many people, is when you're in a triggering situation, you're oftentimes in that triggering situation with many other people. And you are the only one in that crowd experiencing distress. And we want to look at what's going on with your thinking that's leading you to create distress for yourself internally when you're in a situation that is a normal situation that many people are in. Why are you having this unique distressing experience? And I-CBT has an answer to that with OCD, that we are looking at inferential confusion, we are looking at obsessional doubt, and we're correcting that. And the beautiful outcome that we'll see oftentimes with I-CBT is you work on the thinking and you naturally change your behavior. You all of a sudden don't want to do your compulsions because you haven't thought your way into a scary situation anymore. You often don't want to avoid anything anymore because you realize, oh, I was doing a thought process that was making something seem scary, and it isn't actually scary. I'm seeing things clearly now. I don't have any desire to avoid that. I know something about myself. I trust myself more. I'm trusting my sensory world more. And I'm starting with reality, and I'm not going into my imagination. And so, we want to push back against this skepticism that change has to be behavioral. You have to change your behavior and then you learn something. No, you can learn something and then you can change your behavior as a result. That's the nature of cognitive work. And so the OCD treatment world has been heavily behavioral, at least in the US, which I can speak to. Heavily behavioral. Exposure is the only thing that works. You have to do ERP. And the underlying assumption there is you have to do behavioral work. Now, there is cognitive work that a lot of ERP therapists do. And I know a lot of ERP therapists are pretty heavy on the cognitive work. And we have ACT, and so ACT had a struggle when it first came around, but ACT is a metacognitive approach. And so, there is, but this is a new cognitive approach. And it's very different. And so it requires people to learn a new skill to really understand this cognitive approach. So there's that. There's the behavioral skepticism. The other thing that I'll say that we need to really address is the skepticism coming from people that just don't understand I-CBT. And, that's a huge barrier right now is it is so different from other approaches that I think people are having a difficult time understanding it. And I did at first, and I almost think like everybody does at first, that it is so different that you initially think you understand it, And then you kind of say, yeah, whatever. And then you realize, oh, I don't actually understand this. So you're kind of humbled. And then you learn it correctly and deeply. And then you're like, oh, this is good. That's how it works. That's the path. And so, a lot of people that don't understand I-CBT are working from a place of not understanding what healthy reasoning is. And so one of the common ways of approaching OCD cognitively without I-CBT, just the standard cognitive work that's done right now, is accept and tolerate uncertainty. And the assumption there is that accepting and tolerating uncertainty is healthy reasoning. And people that don't have OCD, or people that don't have a particular obsession, are able to tolerate and accept uncertainty in that area. And that is why they don't have an obsession. Cognitively, they can accept uncertainty. And so that's the cognitive work you need to do. The cool thing about I-CBT is it has taught me what healthy reasoning is. And I've learned that healthy reasoning is not actually tolerating and accepting uncertainty, that nobody actually does that. And we really need some clarification on what that means exactly, because it really isn't clear. What I've learned from I-CBT is healthy reasoning essentially means that you prioritize your sensory world and your present moment reality above all else. The most important thing is what I sense and what I know right now. And that trust is so strong that I don't have any interest in going into abstract possibilities that my present moment reality is not telling me are happening right now. That is what I have come to the conclusion to be healthy reasoning. And so I don't ever actually tolerate or accept possibilities where I'm not getting any indication that it's actually happening to me right now. And so, there's lots of possibilities out there. If you think about all the obsessions, you could have something scary and invisible on a surface somewhere that you come into contact with. God could be completely rejecting you and wanting you to go to hell. You could have some sort of deep, hidden desire inside of you that comes out someday that causes you to become violent or to completely be someone that you don't think you are. Right? So OCD wants you to go into these areas where there's sense gaps and explore. and then, a typical cognitive treatment comes along and says, well, you just need to accept that possibility. No. Guys, no. We don't do that. That's not healthy reasoning. We don't invite abstract possibilities into our life and accept them. And so what I've learned is what you do is you don't go there. Things that are abstract, we keep them in the abstract. I don't care what it is. I don't even care if it's something that actually is something that happens to everybody. Death. We don't walk around thinking about death, right? When you do actually really start to become absorbed in the idea of death, I don't care if you have OCD or not, you become less functional. You become depressed. You become distressed. And so we don't actually let death into our lives. We come up with some healthy kind of approaches, right? We keep death in the abstract. We say, someday I'm going to die. but I'm not going to actually get absorbed in the idea of how that's going to happen, when it's going to happen, why, and whether people are going to be sad. And, you know, we don't absorb ourselves in that because we know it's not healthy. We might say, I'm going to make the most of every day because I know someday I'm going to die. That's not accepting and tolerating death, right? In a very intense, imagined way, like someone with an OCD obsession is doing. It's just having a healthy, grounded response to reality. And so I've come to realize that's what healthy reasoning is. And thank you, I-CBT. You've taught me what healthy reasoning is. You know, what does not having a contamination obsession look like? It means you walk into your kitchen when it's lunchtime and you pull out the Tupperware with the leftovers in it and you heat it up in the microwave and you eat it. Right? There was no tolerating of anything going on. There was no exploring anything invisible. And the people in your church parish that aren't having an obsession, right? Let's say you have a scrupulosity obsession and you're praying and getting absorbed in God rejecting you and thinking about how bad you are and thinking about everything you've ever done wrong and all that with an obsession. All the other people in Mass with you and in your congregation, they're not going there. They're not getting absorbed in this. They're not accepting it. They're not tolerating it. They're trusting something in reality, which is I'm a good enough person who tries my best. And at the end of the day, that's all I can do is trust that, right? So we're always looking at what we want to hold on to. We're always holding on to something good, something reassuring, and we're trusting in that. That is healthy reasoning. We're not going into doubt. We're not asking what if. We're not going where our senses can't go. So a lot of people that are first encountering I-CBT, I think, have a hard time understanding that basic concept. They're really stuck in the idea that I accept and tolerate uncertainty, and my client that isn't, is having this obsession just can't tolerate that. And we want to get people out of that. If they really want to understand I-CBT, we're saying healthy reasoning doesn't look like that. We don't do that. All right. So, those are the challenges, guys. If we can help meet the skepticism through informing people and recognizing cognitive therapy has a place in the OCD treatment world, and let's really understand I-CBT because it's a great tool. Let's do that. Let's keep making an impact and keep spreading this treatment. So I think that's probably all I want to talk about today. I've got some other topics ahead. I am continuing to disconnect from a lot of big tech. I do want to talk to you all about that at some point. I think it's can be a positive move for some to realize we've gotten so enmeshed in so much technology, and we've come to believe that everything like Amazon and Netflix and all this stuff is like so necessary. And I'm really looking at alternatives and trying to connect to life again and get disconnected from the digital world a little bit. I know I sound like a hypocrite on YouTube saying that, and I'll share a little of my philosophy in the future, but it doesn't include being perfect. It includes reducing. And let's see if there's any other topics I want to address. Probably just, other I-CBT, some of the benefits I'm getting from I-CBT as far as understanding what is OCD and what isn't OCD. I really want to talk about that too. All right, guys. But anyway, in the meantime, I hope you all are doing okay, hanging in there. And until next time, guys, trust yourselves. Take care.